How's it going, everyone? Vince here with On to the Next podcast. This is episode 19, and we are going to be talking about some current topics, which I normally don't do. And I want to talk about how it affects our On to the Next. And then I want to talk about how we set our goals, how that looks for us, and how it helps us. Everybody, this is On to the Next.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I'm still kept it 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it.
All right, everyone. Welcome to On to the Next podcast. I am Vince Castellano, and so excited to be continually doing this every week. And it's something that, like I said, has always been on my heart to do. And hopefully, if you're able to grab something out of an episode, that's all I want. And I know that there's a lot of people who out there have sometimes a hard time moving to their next. And if you grab an episode that really inspires you, that is my overall goal, is to inspire the ones who are having just that little trouble moving on to their next. And if this could help, I am all about it. All right, guys. So, as I was saying, this looks a little bit different, right? And the setup, I am currently at a different location, but we are set up and ready to go and move forward with the podcast. And I'm really excited about this one. And guys, we have been dealing with so much. And to preface, I want to say that. I was saying I normally don't talk about current topics, and current topics to me lately, it seems so much in the political realm, of what we have going on here, the division, everything that I really believe stops us from moving on to our next, because we could get so caught up in some of these things. And I really want to talk about this current situation that's going on right now. And the situation I'm talking about is so Iran was currently hit by president's orders, and the things and retaliations that they say are set out to be could be crippling for some people, crippling to the ones who, I mean, and I understand there is a fear of something always happening because of previous terrorist attacks that have happened in the United States. So currently they are talking about these sleeper cells that are coming into the country, or that have already been placed in our country, and by orders of rulers of Iran, they are going to activate their terrorism. And this is all put in a nutshell of what has been out there right now. And we've kind of gotten word of these sleeper cells for quite a while, and now they're saying that it's time for them to act on what they're supposed to act on. And I don't want to be a part of the fear, because I know that this is something that can be crippling because of the things that have happened to the United States. And it's not only to the United States, terror that has happened throughout the world. And I want to talk about how we move to our next, whether it be our day, with our future plans, with this happening right now. And it is alarming, when you hear something like this, when you hear about and whether what blame, where do we place our blame? And and that's where the division comes. A lot of people will say our current president is to blame because of the actions he took recently. And but also people will say the previous president would be to blame because of him letting in so many people. And these are all allegations against each one and things that have actually really happened. But I want to say that for us as individuals, you know, I believe, for one, I believe it is smart to be prepared and to be on alert, because we've seen what has happened in the past. We've seen the things that have taken place in the past. So for number one, yes, do we have to be aware, alert? Yes, we do, because I think that's so important for us to, if something does happen, we're ready for it. And I believe that there are between our military, people who have been placed to protect our country, who I thank so much for. I think there is a sense of preparation for that. And I thank you, if you're in the military, I thank you for serving in that capacity, because I think it would be a lot more crippling if you as individuals weren't there for us. So I thank you. But I do want to say, for moving onto your next, for an individual, in a situation like this, I and I'm gonna tell you what I do. Daily, do I pray? Yes, because I believe God is the ultimate judge of what is going to happen in our lives, and what is set out for us. So I do pray, and I pray for the safety of my family, for my friends, the ones, and for people to find peace. Not only us, but these people who are out there causing this hateful, I guess, just retaliation. And I really think it's smart to find something to find comfort in. And I do find comfort in God, and finding it in prayer, and knowing that regardless of situation, He will overall take care of me. But you know, I think it is really smart for us to find peace within our daily lives, though, because we cannot just let this cripple us daily. We have to find, and I want to say one thing, because it is upsetting sometimes when I find, especially if they're like main influencers who are fear mongering the situation, um, taking it to another level. And I understand of making us aware, but to take it to a level of fear mongering, especially because I've been caught up in it. I've been caught up in a situation where I've been to a point where, I mean, you get so caught up in the daily and the influence of social media, what you see online, and that's what you consume yourself with. And so everything is, you're in fear of everything because of what social media and everything online is telling you. And guys, sometimes take a step back from that. If it's consuming you, if it's causing your anxiety, your depression, all these things that will cripple you on a daily basis, take a step away. Be alert. Be alert of what's going on, but don't consume yourself in it to where you cannot move on through your daily lives, because that's just going to cause more issues for you, for your family, and for people around you. And I encourage you to find peace in something. And like I said, whatever that is, spiritually, mentally, physically, even, taking a run, taking a walk, whatever it is, hitting the weights. My son, he loves to hit the weights, and it's a huge outlet for him. And he's inspired me along the way to getting in the gym, knowing that that's such a great outlet for him. And I appreciate him so much for being an inspiration, as my son. And so there's things for you guys to ease your mind. Take, not, like I said, I don't want to say you should just set aside and not pay attention, because should we pay attention? Yes, because it is something that I believe it's out there and it's real, and we need to be on alert for. But don't let it cripple you guys. Keep yourself in prayer. Do something to help you ease yourself. So I know that uh, it's something that I just wanted to talk about briefly, guys, because it was on my heart, especially this weekend, going into today. Even today is Sunday. I'm going to release this tomorrow on Monday, but it's something that is that it's on my heart, and because I do find a lot of people who get consumed in it, because um, let's not lie, half the time it seems like, if you look at your percentage of time you're on your phone, it's sometimes shocking, the amount of time we spend, our phone time, the time we spent on TikTok, Insta, Facebook, whatever it is, y- you know, and just sometimes putting it down and letting yourself just be at ease with what's around you, the blessings that are around you, and knowing that there is peace within this chaos. So, guys, try and find it, okay? Because if not, it's going to be more chaotic. Things could get a lot crazier than they are now. So just find it, guys. And stepping into that, this is going to be a shorter episode, but I do want to talk about some of the things that to I guess how we're getting to our next point in life and how it looks. And I've been inspired by a lot of good mentors, a lot of good reading, research on how we move forward to our next. And sometimes it's within what we're doing, sometimes it's actually outside of what we're doing. And I want to talk about this is because I end up talking a lot about stuff that is going on with me, because I know that it's on my heart, but I do see it, a lot of people going on, and you end up talking to a lot of people just in conversation, and you're like, man, it's such a familiar topic about like how we're moving forward to to what we want to get to in life. What is our goal? And so I'm going to talk about how I've been given advice to, and have kind of researched, and by mentors, research, reading, and how that looks on moving forward, because they always say you should set goals in your life, and I believe that's totally true for anybody. I don't care what age you are. As soon as you're able to comprehend how you set a goal in your life, that it is so important to get to that goal. And how the steps look getting to that goal. So I think the number one objective is to, first of all, what is your goal in life? What do you have set out for yourself? And you know, and here we go back to like the influence of social media and how that looks, because sometimes social media will tell you what you're doing in your life is no good, that there's always something out there that's better. But you look around and you're like, man, I'm actually doing pretty well. I'm happy with what I'm doing in my life, but I know that there is always something I could get to that is going to better me, better my family. And what is that goal? Sometimes it's not an occupation, it's not a work occupation. Sometimes it's like, how do I get rid of this habit that I'm doing? How do I get rid of the anxiety for me? And it's setting goals and what to better you, and that's what it's all about for me right now. It has been financial goals, occupational goals, And because I'm telling you guys, when you find your blessings in life, you say, um, I'm gonna make sure those blessings are contained and that I appreciate them. And I, I am blessed, and I don't say this boastfully or anything. I don't want to come across that I'm better because I've just been blessed with such an amazing family. My wife Bree, my son CJ, and daughter Brooke, and those three have been such a blessing to me, such a support system around me, and allowed me to do some of the things that I've done. And when I say allow, because yes, I am the father of the house, and and a part of me is really old school, where I should be the supporter of my house, but also when you have a family that supports you within your goals and everything, it just makes it so much better. But it's a part of like working with your family. I I go back to always. I go back to praying. I go back to having church with them, going to church with them, and doing the things for me that God has designed for us to do as a family. And I thank God so much for my family. Some of the steps that I'm taking right now are because of the strength that my family has, to where I feel like I can make those steps in life. And I thank God for it. But I want to go to now, like I've set out these occupational goals, financial goals for the next, because I'm no spring chicken. And I know that, like, to my next level, we always have these parts in our lives where we're like, okay, what's next? So right now for me, what I'm doing is the next part of getting. And so I set a long-term goal. And for me right now, it's been a 5-year goal, and knowing to where I need to be in the next 5 years. And so, however long that may look for you, it might be a 10-year goal. It might be, I need this to happen by the end of the year. Is that your long-term goal? Then setting it up, placing it out, writing it out, typing it out on your phone, put it in your notes, put it on your laptop, whatever you need to do. But setting out those long term goals and the steps you're taking to get to that goal. So that's number one. And we always have these quarters that we set by of your goals. So for me, it's going to be at, like, a year and a half and so on. So I'm going to see what, probably actually within a year, I'm going to split it up for me. I guess it's not so much a quarter, but a fifth of my goal setting. So at year one, where I'm at, have I reached the first part of that setup for my goal to get me to my point where I need to be? And I think those are important to setting up parameters within your goals. And I am right now, I'm moving forward in that goal. And it's crazy because when I set these goals, it was back in October of last year. And to tell you the truth, man, things got moving slow. Things were slow for me, guys. And that sometimes it you feel like, why aren't things moving right now? And sometimes you got to reassess and be like, well, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do right? And sometimes it's just grinding it out. And I was on the podcast with Jared Wiggins, and we were talking about how we just carry around that shovel. Sometimes when we dig a new hole, we're on our own and we're digging. And he made a funny comment about, sometimes you hit a water main, you hit an electrical line, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to start a new hole. I didn't assess where I'm digging hard enough, and I got to get to that point where I need to be. So sometimes there's going to be hangups within our goals, guys, but it's how we move forward with them. And as I was saying, uh, as far as what was going on in today's world, it's being kind of prepared of how we get set up for these goals. Are we prepared for the downfall of like a week or the month, or are we prepared for those, and how we're prepared for them. Sometimes we just go like, man, it's all chips in, we're going, hopefully the cars are right. And guys, it's just getting to the point and grinding it out sometimes. But um but here's the good news, is because although it started out slow, I was able to get some things moving. And it comes back to like what I also say about having dependable people in your life. Because for me, without those people, I this is not happening. I have so many great people around me that have blessed me in what I am doing. And you ask God for these people in your life, and some of the people I've had on my podcast. And guys, I there's so many people to thank in my life, and I thank you guys so much for helping me move forward. There are so many names, and I don't want to forget any. So if you're listening, you know who you are, because you have blessed me in this journey, and I thank you so much for that. So it's also having those people, because as me and Jay were talking, as you start setting this foundation for your goals, you need those people in your life. You need the right people in your life. And they're like the cement that's building your foundation, the right cement to make it solid. And so think about that, guys. Who do you have in your life for these goals that you're setting? Kind of assess, look around you, and are the right people in your life. And sometimes the starting point is there. Getting the people who are not going to be good for you, be beneficial for this goal. Sometimes it's hard to say this, but sometimes it's getting those people out of your life, because it's if they're disabling you from moving forward, that's something that you have to move away from. And it's so hard to say that, because I'm a person that, like, I want everybody to strive and succeed. You want to take everybody with you, but if somebody's hindering that goal, um it's just so hard to continually move forward in some of those things. But so that's a vital part of moving forward in your goals, having the right people around you in this. And so outside of, you set your long-term goal. For me, like I said, 5 years. The next is setting, how does it look at the end of a year? And I pray to God, I'm like, man, has one year been good? Or year one been good for me? And what were the steps that I took were right, taken that were right? And how do I reassess, that way the next year looks a little different? Or how do I work off the successes in year one? So that's the first thing. And or as we move along. And so the next thing is, guys, we still got to maintain the daily, the daily things that we do compile to the end goal. And whether it's for me right now, so I am outside of my home, and I'm traveling for work right now, and I'm in a different location. And but I'm around some great people, mentors, and I'm traveling back and forth to home. But I right now, where I'm staying, I'm around some amazing people who daily I make sure to take advantage of the conversations. Um, Daily, I have to make sure I'm prayed up, because prayer going for me, working those prayers into my daily routine, into getting rid of the bad, getting, as I also say, shutting the portals to the evil and opening up the portals to God, and letting Him, allowing Him to give me direction, and having those people in my life, and taking the opportunity to be around them, and taking I guess, whether it be advice or direction, having them help you with your direction, that's so important. And so for me, it's like finding those people around me. What is my setup for my day? How is this going to help me for my future, for my 5-year goal? So daily I'm making sure right now, especially because I'm like, man, I cannot waste a minute right now of the next 5 years. Once again, I am no spring chicken. So for me, I feel like it's even more vital for me. And I follow a guy, his name's Gary Vee, and he talks about how people like make these mock videos of him. Somebody's 72 years old, and he's like, "Oh, you're still so young. You are still like right in your prime." And I believe we could still have those amazing goals at that age, at any age. It's what we're willing to do and how we want to take our lives. But I also look at young Vince, going into my 20s, and I don't want to even say young Vince. I shouldn't say that. I look at my son, I look at my daughter, and my daughter, like, sometimes she gets a little stressed, like, well, where do we go from here? Because she just got out of high school, and see, she's such an amazing person, where she's gotten a group of people around her, and she's like, well, everybody's kind of going their own ways, and she might not be around, but I always tell her, God is gonna put people in your life that it's gonna enable you to move to your next position in life. But you also have to look at the base of what you have around her. And she knows, as a family unit, we're always there for each other. And being there to support and to get her through that next point, that's a huge I guess for us, and I, like I said, it's not to be like boastful or anything about my family unit, but I just thank God so much about having that. And if you have that, make sure to hold on to it, because there's nothing more important than that, the intimacy and what you carry with your family and how that looks. So I tell them, you have so many years and so many abilities, and we think about making mistakes. Do I have the time to make the mistakes? And I'm like, man, you are at that age where it's like making a mistake is like, oh, well, that was okay. Depending on the mistake. Stay away from the major mistakes that will hinder you for the rest of your life. But it's just the little things, the little decisions that will help you move on. And uh, it, I shouldn't even say that, because I've seen some people move on from some really big mistakes in their life, um, including myself, and including some of the people that I've had on the podcast, how they've been able to move forward. And so it's looking, getting past the little things like that. So, yeah, so taking the chances that we need to take to get to that next level. And for me, I did take a huge chance. And, being 50, moving forward and taking a chance of kind of like, this is where I believe God had placed me all along, and moving forward in and it was a big decision. But sometimes it's, I think, for our self well-being, sometimes making those decisions are vital. And I don't, like I said, it doesn't have to be occupation wise, it doesn't have to be a financial. Sometimes it is like, man, I want my family to be better. How do we get better? What's the long-term goal of what our family should look like? What's the long-term goal of just myself? What does my spiritual, physical, these goals that we have, how does that look? So guys, it's so vital to set these goals in mind. And how are we going to get to those points? And we are going to have failures. So there's some days where it's like, I just need to reset and then move forward tomorrow. And tomorrow might look a little tougher, because I want to make up for the day that I missed. Because that's how it is for me. Sometimes I'm like, I beat myself up for resetting some days. And I'm like, well, tomorrow I'm going to work twice as hard to make up for. But if that's the way you work it, then if it's just taking the time off and relaxing, saying I'm gonna reset for the weekly and go on and move forward. So, guys, I just want to encourage you because there are so many ways that we can help ourselves, help the ones around us move forward and get better in what we're doing. And thank you so much for just because I have been I've been blessed, and I thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day, and hopefully, and I want this to be beneficial. I don't want this just to be a, I guess, just a listen. I want, hopefully you're able to get something out of these listens of my podcast, and whatever that is. I thank you so much, and feel free to comment if there's something that really hit you, or if you have something, any questions. I have so many, if I can't answer, I have so many people around me that have the advice that I could send along your way. Or if there's something that is troubling you, just let me know. I have so many great people spiritually, people who work on anything that I get my resources from, that if I have an answer, or if there's something, it's not always from me. It might be asking somebody that has been just a blessing in my life, that has been an expert in that area. So don't be afraid to comment, guys. Interact, and if you like it, thank you so much for hitting that like button and subscribing, or passing along to say, hey, I think, whether it be your friends, family, whatever, hey, tell them, hey, I think you would be encouraged by this listen of On to the Next podcast. So, guys, thank you so much, and thank you for being a part of this journey of On to the Next.
Play, 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 play. Put on